Apple is finally making some significant changes, and we have 5 major pieces of news to share. These updates are long overdue but are also somewhat controversial. Firstly, Apple may be discontinuing its product red color option. Since 2006, Apple's red offerings for iPods, iPhones, Apple Watches, and accessories have been branded as product red. However, we haven't seen many product red products recently. The iPhone 15 and iPhone 16 do not offer a red option, and although the Apple Watch Series 9 had a product red variant, that option is now unavailable, along with the red band. Currently, the only product red item Apple still sells is the iPhone SE 2, which is set to be replaced in March. Interestingly, Apple now markets Red Beats products under the name Statement Red and Transparent Red. While Apple still offers red products, it seems the product red brand may be coming to an end. Okay, now the second change is that Apple plans to release an actual TV, which isn't the first time this has been rumored. There were talks about it back in 2006, as well as in 2011, 2014, 2016, and beyond, with Steve Jobs hinting at Apple's interest in the TV market. Walt Mossberg even mentioned that Steve wanted to reinvent the TV market after stepping down as CEO in 2021, but sadly he passed away shortly after. Apple released the Apple TV in 2007, along with several versions of the Apple TV Plus, though none of them reached the success Apple hoped for. If Apple had released a real TV with a clean, iconic design and features like the Apple TV box, plus extras like a built-in camera for FaceTime, it could have been a huge success. We'd love to hear your thoughts on how Apple might approach this if they do decide to make a TV, as recent news suggests they are considering it. The third change is with the SIM slots in iPhones. With the iPhone 14, Apple removed the physical SIM card slot in US models, relying on eSIM for network connections. However, this change wasn't made outside the US. Now, a new report from The Information says Apple plans to remove physical SIM slots in more regions next year, including all iPhone 17 versions. The iPhone 17 Air, a super thin model, will have no physical SIM tray, no matter where it's sold. We wouldn't be surprised if the iPhone 17, 17 Pro, and 17 Pro Max lack SIM slots in some regions too. On the one hand, this is a good change, but on the other, it has downsides. Let's first focus on the positives. Removing the SIM slot frees up internal space, which could be used for a larger battery. Plus, having only eSIM means more carriers will adopt it. As eSIM becomes more widespread, prices will drop, and you won't need to buy a physical SIM when traveling. Thieves also won't be able to remove your SIM to disconnect your phone from cellular, so you can always track it. So eSIM is a win. On the downside, eSIM is still not widely adopted. If you travel, buying a prepaid SIM card with data is usually cheaper than purchasing an eSIM directly from your device. But despite this, eSIM is generally better. By removing the SIM slot from at least one iPhone 17 model, Apple can push eSIM adoption further, which is a positive. Even with the US models being eSIM only, Apple hasn't utilized the extra space gained. For example, there's just a plastic piece filling the space, likely to prevent any advantages for US models. If all iPhone 17 models worldwide are eSIM only, that extra space could be used for things like a larger battery, which we're all for. Apple's fourth big change is adding OLED to their MacBooks, starting with the MacBook Pros. However, a TrendForce report says this will happen between 2026 and 2027. Why is it taking so long when many Windows laptops already have great OLED screens? There are 2 reasons. First, Apple likely wants to match or exceed the brightness of current MacBook Pros, which max out at 1600 nits. To achieve this, they'll need to use tandem OLED, with 2 OLED panels stacked together like in the new M4 iPad Pros. It seems Samsung, LG, and Apple's display manufacturers can't produce enough tandem panels for both iPads and MacBooks until 2026 or 2027. The second reason is that Apple probably wants to introduce OLED with a new MacBook Pro redesign. Apple updates MacBook Pro designs every 4 to 5 years. The last redesign was in 2021, and the one before that was in 2016. Another update in 2026 would fit the usual cycle, which is why TrendForce's report mentions 2026 to 2027. Apple typically updates MacBook Pros in October or November, putting the release near the end of 2026. While the wait is long, the current MacBook Pro displays are excellent. The mini LED blooming isn't too bad, and when used normally it already looks close to OLED with much higher brightness than current OLED laptops. Apple's fifth change, or rather lack of change, is the 3rd generation of AirPods Max. According to Mark Gurman, Apple has no plans to update them anytime soon, with the current model sticking around for the foreseeable future. We were already disappointed with the 2nd gen AirPods Max, and now we're even more let down. Sure, the AirPods Max don't sell well because over-ear headphones aren't as popular as small earbuds, and they're among the priciest on the market. But when Apple updated them, they only added a USB-C port and new colors. Nice, but not enough. They still use the old H1 chip instead of the H2 introduced in 2022, meaning they miss out on features like adaptive audio, conversation awareness, personalized volume, and faster pairing. Even the noise canceling could have been better with the H2 chip. Next year, the 3rd gen AirPods Pro is expected with the H3 chip, so keeping the AirPods Max with the outdated H1 chip for the next few years feels like a lack of effort from Apple. Updating the chip alone wouldn't be that expensive, yet Apple doesn't seem interested. What do you think? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay tuned for more updates, and we'll see you in the next one.